The longer you stay alive, the longer you can enjoy Boost Mobile's unlimited plan with a price that never goes up. So here are some tips. Do not parallel park on a cliff if you want to enjoy an unlimited plan with a price that never goes up. Do not mistake a wasp nest for a piñata if you want to enjoy an unlimited plan with a price that never goes up. Do not microwave a hard-boiled egg if you want to enjoy an unlimited plan with the price that never goes up. Stay alive and enjoy unlimited wireless for $25 a month forever with Boost Mobile. After 30 gigs, customers may experience lower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
Welcome to Black and Gay Back in the Day. We are bringing to life an archive of images of Black LGBTQ+ life in Britain from the 70s through to the early noughties.
Brown skin beauty, fair fine future.
I'm Mark Thompson, an activist and health promotion specialist, and I built this archive with the journalist and writer Jason Okindaya.
Deep dark wisdom, patient human.
In this episode, we are looking at a photograph that lifts up the beauty of Black love. A black and white photo of the head and shoulders of two men, one embracing the other from behind. Both men do not appear to be wearing any clothes for this intimate moment. They both have short, dreadlocked hair. We know the man in front to be Dennis Carney with a pencil-thin moustache, and the man behind to be the poet and writer Essex Hemphill. In this tender moment, Essex presses his lips to the back of Dennis's neck with eyes closed. This tender image was taken by Rotimi Fani-Kayode in Brixton in 1987. As the African-American writer Joseph Beam and the filmmaker and gay rights activist Marlon Riggs has said, "Black men loving black men is a revolutionary act." This quote resonates with me so much that I created an art installation at Brixton Tube Station centering the statement. I asked Jordan, aka the musician Xona, to reflect on the picture from the archive.
I have here in front of me the picture of Dennis Carney and Essex Hemphill. Before I get to the picture, the first thing I notice that strikes a big chord with me is the photographer, who has a Yoruba name, Rotimi Fani-Kayode, which, I don't know, just elicits this huge pang of emotion in me knowing that, I don't know, there were queer Nigerians somewhere, and we existed way before my time. I'm just going to look him up very quickly, just to see what he was about. Yeah, Nigerian-born photographer who moved to England at the age of 12 to escape the Civil War. And I instantly remember that my mom also tried to escape the Civil War. So yeah, it's like a line of connection showing you that, things happened before you and people made steps to make your life a lot more visible, I guess, which is something I'm not very used to. But back to the picture. I think the very, 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 very big thing I see about this is Black intimacy, right? Black queer intimacy, which I might as well be a beginner to. I don't think I've had an intimate experience with someone who looks like me. I think they showcase something that I am working towards. I just by looking at the picture, it's a strong illustration of intimacy, codependency as well. Hi, my name is Jordan Anabogu. I'm a Nigerian-Irish artist under the name Xona. So the people in the photo, the guy in front is Dennis Carney, and the guy behind is Essex Hemphill, who I believe is an American poet who moved over to England. I'm just going to Google Essex and see some of his work because I'm also a writer myself and love indulging in Black queer literacy. So I'm just looking through some of his work. I think just skimming through his poetry here, and he has one called Object of Desire. Oh, Object Lessons, actually. My mistake. It reads, if I'm comfortable on the pedestal you're looking at, if I'm indolent and content to lay here on my stomach, my determinations indulged and glistening in baby oil and sweat. If I want to be here, a pet, to be touched, to toy, if I choose to be liked in this way, if I desire to be object, to be sexuality in this object way, by one or two at a time, for a night or for 1,000 days, for money or for power, for the awesome orgasms, to be had, to be coveted, or for my own selfish wantonness, for the feeling of being pleasure, being touched, the pedestal was here. So I climbed up, I located myself, I appropriated this context. It was my fantasy, my desire to do so, and I lie here on my stomach. Why are you looking? What do you want to do about it? The pedestal was there, so I climbed up, I located myself. You know, reading Essex poetry, especially Object Lessons, I can glean some kind of understanding into the character he was. You know, I refer to him as a force of nature, so it'd be very interesting to see Dennis's recount of like his character and if he is as indelible as he seems in his poetry, like what marks has he made? Is he still as real to him as he was back then? I think one of the reasons I'm very keen to speak to Dennis is I feel like this conversation, this topic is coming at a very opportune time. As someone who has lived possibly multiple intimate experiences with men, both of color or just gay men in general, I think there are a lot of things I just want to know about love and the transience of love, and like if he's learned any lessons, if there's an absolute truth that you know you can't deny and you can't get away from, and things like that. Hey Dennis, how are you this fine Tuesday evening?
I'm very well, Jordan, especially seeing your happy smiley face.
Well, yeah, it's great to finally sit down and do this with you. I'm hoping to learn a lot. I am eager, mostly honored, but very eager to just like get into the picture, just see what it was like for you in the path that has brought you here, essentially, and and contributing in what you can teach me and all of that. How does seeing the picture make you feel?
Ooh, well, how does seeing the picture make me feel? Well, I guess it always makes me feel positive, good inside, warm, fuzzy feelings, I guess.
Rare to find in London.
Yeah, and you know, that picture was taken at a very kind of significant time in my life, you know.
How old were you? Isn't it?
Gosh, I must have been about 25, 26. Yeah. And I was involved in an organisation called BLGC, the Black Lesbian and Gay Centre Project, and I was the chair. And whilst I was at BLGC organised the very first tour for Essex Hempel in the UK, and that's how I got to meet him.
Oh. And what was the first meeting where, like, Can you remember?
Oh gosh, I will never forget the first time I met Essex Hemphill. Never, ever. I'll never forget because he'd done his first performance. I can't remember where, but after, there was an after party at Dirk Arb Richards' house where Essex was staying. And I went along. And halfway through the evening, Essex and I got talking about one of his poems. And from that very first time that we spoke, I don't think we stopped speaking until he went back to the States.
Yeah. So we start from there, and now we're at the picture. How did the picture come about? What was it for?
Okay, well, Rotimi Fani Keodi was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he was an aspiring photographer looking for models. And he was, at the time, exploring nude photography. Mm. And at that time, it was really difficult, actually, to find people who were willing enough to take their clothes off in front of a camera. Mm. And so he found me. No. It's just that, for me, I never forget, I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was really scared of doing...
Were you scared of the camera or the consequences after the camera?
Yeah, I think I was more scared with the consequences.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I was more scared about that because, Rotimi was, like I say, a very good friend. Mm. I trusted him and all of that. It was more...
How would it live on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see, back then, it's a very different world to today. Today you can just pick up your phone and if you want to see a naked photograph, seconds. Whereas back then, it wasn't as easy to achieve. This long before the internet. So anyway, Rotimi was looking for models to do this, and I said, yeah, okay. And then I think I brought Essex along, and that's how that happened.
Fair enough.
And I guess this was, when that picture was taken, this was probably a week after we'd met.
Oh, wow. Because I was going to move on to that. I was going to say that, there's a lot that is conveyed from this picture, and I wanted to know how long how much time had elapsed.
Yeah, it was about a week or so, a week and a half. So you
time
can
moves fast when you're having fun.
Yeah, and so we were in the throes of a romance, and it was very intense. And
that definitely comes along.
And I think the picture captures that intensity and this kind of strength of feeling on both sides.
There's something, I think, for you it was a week. For the rest of us who gets to see it now, I look at it and I'm like, I remember I was at the George Michael commemoration thing in Hampstead Heath maybe a couple of weeks ago, and Ted Brown was giving a talk, and he said one of the most soul-stirring things I've heard in a long time. And he said, don't ever feel like there weren't people who were there for you. Don't ever feel removed from the people who came before you. And for me, being queer in Ireland, no one came before you. You're there, you're the first, well, not the first, but you can't see anybody around it. And I see this picture, and the first thing that hits me is he was right. There's a Nigerian photographer taking the picture. There's a portrayal of intimacy that you had to go run and look for in minuscule places. And it makes you feel you belong somewhere and you belong to something. So thank you for that. There'll be a lot of thanking. There'll be a lot of thanking through that. Another big thing I can see through this is intimacy. It comes across so strong. Was Essex your first foray into
No. Essex will always have a very, very special place in my heart. He's a man I will never forget till the day I die. And if I'm being really honest, I think I haven't met anybody who comes even close to the human that Essex was, the incredible human that he was. I'd never, up until that point, met any man like him, and I don't think I've met another man like him since. He really had a massive impact on my life, and I would say, for the most part, in a really positive way. Yeah. I think the thing that I always treasure about Essex is that he really believed in me. He saw me. That's what I felt like. I felt like he really understood me. I didn't have to explain. We didn't have to explain. We just connected. It was a real powerful experience for me.
I mean, you say this picture is 1 week old, but like the like overwhelming feeling of codependency off it, like the idea that one person's eyes is open and the other person is so willingly able to just trust them, nearly like you're being led somewhere, is outside like race or anything in the human like experience. That's kind of what you're working towards. That's one of the three big things that hit me. Outside all of this, at the end of my life, that's all I kind of want. I just want the ability to look back on my life and know that someone really saw me, as you say, and I could truly be in another time zone and know that more than anything in the world, RuPaul says it, that more than anything in the world, that man loves me.
Yeah.
And I could doubt everything else, but more than anything in the world, that man in a different time zone is just like, I'm the first thing on his mind.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything more beautiful than what you've just shared.
I like, honest to God, you're living proof that you can find it, or it finds you. But yeah, that's the true gift, right? At the end of it.
And for the lucky ones, it finds us more than once.
Okay, show off. But yeah, I think you said that you ran into Essex in a very, maybe I'm paraphrasing, transformative part of your life where it was very poignant. What did it feel like loving in that world back then that didn't really nurture it?
I remember, when I was in my 20s, early 20s, going to parties, black gay parties, and to get in, you would have to knock on the door with a secret code.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the door would not open. That's the kind of world that I lived in. It felt very hostile world. It didn't feel safe. It felt like I could be attacked at any moment simply because of who I was and who I loved. And that world feels very different now. I can remember when I first realised I was gay, I think it was about 16. Well, it was long before then, actually. But consciously I thought, let me go to the library to find out what it's like to be gay and what it means.
Did you know what the word was?
Not really. That's why I went to the library.
Yeah, I had the exact same thing.
Yeah, I went to the library and all I could find was that I was sick, was the lowest of the low. And that experience set me on a journey, actually, to where I am today, I think, if I'm being honest, because I remember thinking, I really didn't want another 16-year-old to go through what I went through when I was 16. I didn't want him to go away from that library hating himself or disbelieving in himself or believing the lies that were being said in these books. And I have to say, I'm really glad that now that a 16-year-old can walk into my local library and find Brother to Brother or In the Life or a whole range of different books by black gay writers, which wasn't available to me when I was 16. And in those books contains a 4-letter word that is said often in those books, LOVE. And for me, it was love that brought my awareness of my sexuality. And I think in the discussions about sexuality and identity and all that kind of stuff, that is one 4-letter word that is very rarely used when talking about love between men or love between women, whatever you want to call it. So, same gender loving. Yeah, and I think I want to make sure that that 4-letter word is always present when I think about relationships between men or same-sex relationships, because I think for me, it was the love of Essex, for example, that really empowered me in a way that I don't think anything in my life has
Yeah.
empowered me in the same way.
Yeah.
You know, and knowing who he was, knowing that he was a very smart, thoughtful, sensitive human, and that he thought highly of me. God, it's just like,
It's
you know, this
mind-blowing.
this poor little boy from Manchester.
It's completely mind blowing.
Yeah,
I only was able to gather up, I don't know, the inner motivation to write like an album when I fell in love properly at like 28, so 2 years ago, and I completely co-sign what you're saying. I think, and now that it's gone, I'm just kind of like, what do you do? But I know what it's like to feel like your world's on fire, because someone's looking at you and they like look right through you and they see everything and they remember you and they're thinking of you when you're like not even cognizant of it. That is a gift.
Knock, knock.
Ooh, who's there?
A Boost Mobile expert, here to deliver and set up your all-new iPhone 17 Pro, designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever.
You call that a knock-knock joke?
This isn't a joke. Boost Mobile really sends experts to deliver and set up your phone at home or work.
Okay, well, it's just that when people say knock-knock, there's usually a joke to go with it.
Like I said, this isn't a joke.
So the knock-knock was just you knocking.
Yeah, that's how doors work.
Get the new iPhone 17 Pro delivered and set up by an expert wherever you are. Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms apply.
Boost Mobile is now sending experts nationwide to deliver and set up customers' new phones.
Wait, we're going on tour?
We're delivering and setting up customers' phones. It's not a tour.
Not with that attitude.
Introducing Store to Door. Switch and get a new device with expert setup and delivery.
Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com.
But I want to go back very, very briefly, and this is my second thanks, to you saying that you didn't want to leave that library at 16 while not feeling, making sure that no other 16-year-old felt like that. And there's a thing I read from E.E. Cummings that says you have to say who you are loudly for someone who's lost and someone who's not yet born. And like for you to have that and still have like that effect on me, even now, just seeing the picture, and I'm just kind of like, you're not alone. It happened. It happened, and because of it, you happened. So, like, thank you for that. Like, thank you for taking up that banner and that crusade. And, like, we don't always get our adulation, the things that we need. And we don't do it for the adulation, I guess. It should be said that because you were, I mean, I can freely, like, do whatever I want to do.
Well, thank you. And, you know, I mean, I think a lot of younger Black queer people particularly really don't know that there was a really vibrant and active Black queer community way back. And so for example, there wouldn't have been a UK Black Pride in 2022 if there wasn't a BLGC back in 1984, for example. And I think there is a direct lineage between there and where we are today. Yeah.
I think that is completely true, and it does suck that it takes this long to find it out. I mean, where I grew up, my own world that didn't nurture. I mean, I grew up in a world that didn't nurture it until I kind of made a new world that like nurtured it and went and found my new world. My friends are my world now. I grew up in the middle of Ireland where they just didn't know what to do with me. And I was like, oh, well, I can't tell my mom. And at that stage, when I found out, my reaction was polar opposite. Well, not polar opposite to yours. As soon as it happened, I was like, I know what I am. I don't care. It's fine. It's fine. I won't ever have to talk about it. And I noticed that pattern in everything I do now. It leads me to my next question where I'm like, did you feel loved within the queer community? Because I feel like maybe my queer community in Ireland, where it was like very white-centric, I didn't necessarily feel loved there. I felt like of a particular type. And I didn't know how to derive love from that for a long time. So like we've gone from the world scale into like just like within the queer communities where it was like a mixed plethora of people.
I mean, I have to say, in terms of mainstream gay community, no, I have not felt a lot of love at all. In fact, I will never forget the very first gay venue that I went to back in Manchester, gay bar, and I walked around. I was so scared. No, in fact, before I went out the house, I remember thinking, oh, Dennis, don't worry, you'll be fine. You know, they know what discrimination feels like, so they won't discriminate against you. You'll be fine. They won't discriminate against you because you're black. So that's what I told myself to galvanise my confidence. And I got there and I walked round and around and around the venue to pick up the courage. And every time I walked round, I saw white gay men going into that venue, no questions asked. And then as soon as I got to the door, oh, you do know it's a gay club, mate. Question. I was 18, 19. And I have lost count in my lifetime when I've gone to mainstream venues, how many times that has happened. That's just one example of the lack of love I've felt within the gay scene. And there are countless examples of that, if I think about it. And so, in some ways, though, you know, there's a silver lining, or the flip side of the coin, I guess, on that, is that what that experience did is it pushed me to much more towards a black queer community. And it pushed me into black queer activism, actually. Those experiences of racism on the mainstream gay scene, especially when I told myself that shouldn't be there. Yeah. Because, you know, they know what discrimination feels like. Why would they discriminate against other people?
I would hope that we wouldn't have to go through it, but it does make us who we are. And why, like, I've had situations, I mean, the culture in Ireland around, like, people of colour have shifted a lot because, I mean, there's more of us now. But I remember the whole preference versus, like, hey, I think you're being racist talk. And you have a room full of white people who are just like, it's just my preference. And then you sound insane in the room where I'm like, no, it's not your preference. Come on. But I mean, it definitely, like, adds this fire to you, and you read about it and you learn more about it, and you're better off in the end. You truly are better off in the end because you're well learned. What is a truth that you've come to accept about love?
I think there is a line that I heard about 20 years ago, a definition of love by a man called Stanley Kellerman. And the definition goes like this: to love someone is the willingness to educate them about all of who you are and what you want. And when I first heard this, I thought, what does this dead old white man know? I mean, please. But I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? He's got a point. Yeah. And I really do subscribe to that definition of love. Yeah. I think the easy part for me when it comes to that definition is educating people about who I am. Yeah. But the most difficult part of that definition is asking for what I want from the man that I love, or even people that I love, generally speaking. I think asking for what you want is a real challenge, especially when you've grown up in a world that tells you, because of who you are, you cannot have that. Yeah.
I feel like I've said it too many times that it loses value, but it was a complete pleasure. Thank you. It was an honor.
Well, thank you, Jordan, and thank you for helping me to make a bit more sense of what was going on for me back then. Because, you know, it's not something I've really talked about, actually, if I think about it. Certainly not publicly like this. Yeah. And so thank you. This has been a really, really enjoyable experience, and I want you to know that.
You're more than welcome.
Hey Jordan, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm really well. It's great to finally meet you.
It is great to meet you too. Thank you for having me. Thank you for this entire experience. It's been completely rewarding.
Well, it's just wonderful for us that you've decided to go on this journey and meet some of our elders and to meet the absolutely amazing, iconic Dennis Carney.
The character.
The character, yeah.
The myth, the character.
I mean, I've known Dennis since I was much younger. We both were. So how was it for you meeting Dennis?
Yeah, as I was saying, it was very, very rewarding. I think he just has a way of illustrating his point so well, and when he speaks, you completely believe it. And it was like for the first time someone was teaching me that, like, showing me a path. Because I think a lot of my queerness and a lot of my like coming of age was just me figuring it out for myself. So it's nice to see someone who's much further along, who has some absolute truths that they can pass on to you. I think like a lot of his answers were very soul stirring. So yeah, it was very, very rewarding because I don't think I've ever had a conversation with a black queer elder at all. I don't know any. So it was definitely a once in a lifetime. And I kept saying it, and I hoped it wasn't trite or any of that. I just kept thanking him so much because I'd never had that experience before. And it's one I'll remember. So yeah.
I mean, that's amazing that, you get to connect with somebody with so much history who is an elder and can pass that stuff on. What were some of the things that you spoke about?
We spoke a lot about love. I remember one of the things I asked him was like, what's an absolute truth you've learned about love? And it's like, you don't own anybody, and you have to be comfortable to tell them who you are and also ask for what you want. And he was like, the longer you live, the more true that statement will become. And I look forward to it. I realize elements of my life where I can't do that yet. And it's just nice to know that there's some things that are absolute truths that, like, someone is passing on to you, and maybe it makes the journey a lot less arduous, Yeah, I enjoyed how he talked about how real Essex still is to him, like all these years later, how it's still the most, it's like a flagship or something. It's still so indelible in his life, Yeah.
One of the things I think is interesting about love and relationships, particularly for black queer men, is that very often we're not taught that. And part of the wonderful stuff around Essex's work, alongside the collective of Joseph Beam and Marlon Riggs, was pushing this idea of black men loving black men as a revolutionary act. Was that talked about in your conversation? How did that kind of...
Yeah, I think there was a moment I asked him, I kind of tried to talk about the tiers of love. How did you feel love from the world around you? How did you feel love within the community? Because for me, I would have had to go find elements of it in places but never really see myself reflected. And it was really interesting just seeing how he navigated all of that and how he found a great black queer love such a young age, and seeing that, someone like me wishes that they saw that when they were much younger, when they were like 10, 11, 12, so they knew that they belonged to something, as opposed to, I said, my first representation of queerness was like Desperate Housewives and the gay couple in there, and I'm like, I'm gay but I'm not white, so I can kind of glean something from here. It was good to see that, even all the way back then, that was still a thing. That was a tale as old as time or whatever. I don't know. It just made it very real for me and validated me in some way,
I mean, absolutely. When I was growing up, I didn't see those images at all. And so we had to kind of dream and imagine.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like a part of your brain that wasn't filled out properly yet. Like maybe you just never looked at yourself as something that was desirable, or like even from your own community. So I shudder to think of ways that affected me in my formative periods, and sometimes I kind of see it, and I'm trying to unlearn and move forward. So like this conversation was rewarding, even just like stuff I sit with and like in time kind of realize. Yeah, very grateful for it.
So you spoke about growing up and not seeing the images like you've seen in the archive today. Has anything changed today?
Just seeing the picture originally was just something that, like, I don't know, something that was unlocked in me, and maybe it'll take time for me to like elaborate on what the feeling is. I've never had a Black queer relationship, like not a partner, and it's something that I was never with a Black person until I think 2016, and I've been an active gay person since like 2010. So it wasn't until I visited London and saw stuff like that and like opened myself up to it, because where I grew up was very, very like it's burgeoning and it's opening up in its views and all of that, but it just wasn't something that was available to me. But seeing history and seeing that it existed before you came makes you feel like you belong to something and you're standing on the shoulders of people who have worked for you. And I never really felt like that. I just felt like an outsider on everything. Like I don't feel that connected to like my Nigerian like ancestry kind of thing. I don't see myself in them because I don't see anyone who's like me. And that's kind of like a thing that, you know, you carry around but never really vocalize. So seeing that picture of them is just something that you just need to see. You sometimes don't need to explain it. You need to see it to know that like it happened and you aren't alone. So that's kind of like what's kind of starting to change for me. When I see, like I have queer friends, Black queer friends now who are in Black relationships, and it just unlocks something in me and I'm like, oh, okay. Just seeing it is the remedy itself.
I mean, we celebrate, you know, there's lots of talk about, you know, love is love and love wins, those catchphrases that always put out. But, you know, I'm a great believer in celebrating Black love, you know, wherever that shows up. And I'm really glad that this picture kind of demonstrates that and it had an impact on you. How is that going to try to change the way that you write, the way that you create going forward?
I think I'm waiting to see, but I think learning about their relationship, his relationship with Essex, and how it's still so real and so strong to him. I think there was something very endearing knowing that, like, you know, the loves that I've had in the past, maybe I fear I'll forget them. I always fear that, like, you know, it's passing, it won't live on as long as possible. But I look forward to the lessons, and I look forward to, like, maybe throwing myself more deeply into it and asking questions and telling them what I want and not being afraid to show them fully, like, what I'm about. Because I think in my past 3 relationships, there was a line I wrote recently where it was like, I always have to fold half of me away to make sure that you'll stay. And that's something I always do, because I feel like if people knew maybe 60% of what I was comfortable with, whether it's like showing them my family or showing them my real accent or like telling them about how I got to Europe or any of that, talking to him made me understand that when you find someone who loves you, most of that stuff will be just accepted anyway, because you do it to other people. So you're not alone. Like, someone will accept you, and like it'll be wonderful when that happens. So yeah, that will definitely influence my writing.
And it sounds like you had a great conversation. It was enlightening and it inspired you. Was there anything that you found challenging about the conversation at all?
Not challenging. I think the only time we ever had it's me trying to navigate my relationship with my mother. That's like the biggest thing I've done this year. And I don't think that there was anything I could use, but it showed that, like, at least not all of us are damned to the like estrangement from our families. So that was good to see. I think that would be the only thing where I know that my reality is that I'm literally facing an immovable object. I cannot get around it. I wish there was someone who could just tell me what to do, or tell her what to do. So yeah, that was the only thing, and I wouldn't say it was difficult. I walked away from it just knowing that, like, you know, there are families that are happy, and maybe that should inform my psyche that there is hope. Like, it's not impossible for POC parents, really religious parents, to accept their kids. So, like, yeah, I'll always put a spin on something. But yeah, that was definitely maybe the only part of it that I maybe thought we came at it differently.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of these intergenerational conversations, right? Is that we are bringing different parts of ourselves, these different experiences which are separated sometimes by decades, but clearly there are some deep similarities between the two of you. And if you need a mum to have a chat with your mum, my mum is for hire, and she's really good at doing that
Honestly.
kind of stuff. And she's talking to lots of black mums about telling them to fix up. So I'll get her on it.
honestly, I think that was what was advised to me. They were like, I remember my therapist was just kind of like, I think she needs someone like her to explain to her, because you have to understand it, like, it's intergenerational and she's different. And
Mums for hire.
Mums for hire.
Jordan, it's been incredible to talk to you, and thank you so much for sharing yourself and sharing your time with Dennis. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Brown skin beauty, fair fine future.
I've been your host, Mark Thompson. The reporter in this episode was Jordan, aka the musician Xona. You can find the picture we've discussed in today's episode and all the images talked about throughout this podcast on Instagram at Black and Gay Back in the Day. And drop us a message if you have something you want to submit to the archive. A link will be available in the show notes. Coming up next week on Black and Gay Back in the Day, Black and Gay Back in the Day is an Art Nell production based on the archive created by myself and Jason Okindaya. The producers are Shivani Dave and Tash Walker. The assistant producer is Abby McIntosh. Mixing was by Adam Smith. The music is composed and performed by Amaroon. The executive producers were Mark Thompson and the Art Nell team. Artwork was by Kemi Oleyade. Thanks to Content is Queen, The Glass House, the Audio Content Fund, Gadio, Bishopsgate Institute, and all of our contributors. A special thank you to all of those past and present who have fought for Black queer liberation.
Here's how to stay alive longer so you can enjoy Boost Mobile's unlimited plan with a price that never goes up. Do not mistake a wasp nest for a piñata. Stay alive and switch now at Boost Mobile. After 30 gigs, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile unlimited plan.